All right, welcome to another Futures Initiative trading recap. I am here with Dubster, and we are recapping our trades from 9/22/2023. Today was an awesome day for trading, very smooth. Price action was very well intact. We didn't have a lot of jumps, a lot of gaps. We had very smooth price action, and it paid us both. So, Dubster, thank you for joining us today. And we are excited to hear about your trades and your thoughts behind them.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for having me. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys something. This is not a trade I took today. It's just something that I did chart, and we're currently on ES futures. I noticed here on the 4-hour chart that we had this specific section here, what I call a healthy order block. Reason why, because of fair value gap here. And on this specific section, I chose this side because I like how it had a high momentum, came back down, and then from here continued to an upside. So, which means what this means is that it wasn't what caused the momentum, but it was in between the previous healthy order block and in between the current momentum that happened at this specific time. So if you guys see something as in this specific healthy order block here, and then there is a gap here, but then there's a section here where it went back up, came down, and then continued with high momentum. I've noticed that on these specific trends, I shouldn't play on these sections here. This is currently a back test that I'm in a forward test that I'm currently. Whenever there's a healthy order block and continues to the upside, does another pivot, a little retracement, and then continues to the upside and it makes a healthy order block, I eliminate those. I started seeing this where these actually go ahead and get run down completely. So I started eliminating those and playing the ones in the center. So if this was a healthy order block, this is a healthy order block, and this one's a healthy order block, I eliminate the first one and I like playing on this one or in on this bottom one. But in this case, I chose this one. And reason why is because if market was going to run down through this healthy order block, the next section I would like to play out is down here, and that's kind of a massive gap for me to see. So I figured it might happen through here. So what we have going on here is on the 4-hour chart frequency, we have a healthy order block in this specific section, and I drew the candle out. My entry point is always going to be the 0.5 off the Gann box on the healthy order block section. As you guys can see, yesterday when price action came down, it never wicked into this area. And this is something I was looking for yesterday, and we never saw it. I was trying to get this play here yesterday or last night. We never saw it happen, and today was the day that it actually came back to. Price action retraced back to the upside, grab this specific area here, which is what I call a healthy order block as well, came back down and wicked this in pretty much. I didn't take this play. It's just something that I really wanted to see. Same thing with SPY. I went ahead and I charted out the same specific area. And as you guys can see, I had my Gann box here because I wanted this yesterday. It never played out, moved it out to this specific area as well, and we got wicked in. So I just thought it was pretty interesting how we we were bearish. We expected price to come back down, became bullish overnight yesterday, and continued to play the same play and actually got wicked in exactly. The crazy part today was that, as you guys can see here, the 0.5 is in this specific area. And if you guys actually pay attention, we were just right on the dot. This thing just came in, wicked us in, and then took off to the upside on pre-market. So I thought that was pretty amazing. We pretty much nailed the entry right about there. Gann box, right? So we pretty much nailed this entry. We were playing SPY calls option. So I was at work at this time. I didn't enter the play, but honestly, I would have done some calls for the weekend. That would have been awesome to have this play actually come out positive. Obviously, we don't know if it will. But this is just a nice thing to just talk about and see that this healthy order block, if it didn't come out, didn't happen yesterday, we move it to the following day and it actually worked out. This right here would have been profitable. Obviously, if we would have hold over the weekend, we don't know if we are profitable. We'll have to find out next Monday. But let's go ahead and move on to the trade we actually did take. And I'd like to show you guys this. We went ahead and we're gonna move on to the 1 hour. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the 4 hour so I can show you exactly how I charted this. As you guys can see, this is an order block here, but it does not have a fair value gap. So I did not have a strategy entry off the 4 hour. Came back down, looked at it at the 1 hour, and same thing. You guys look at this specific section. This order block had a fair value gap, but had already been played into. So I went ahead, I eliminated it. Dropped 50-minute. And if I didn't see anything here, I can't play the strategy I normally play. So we come back into this side, and as you guys can see again, there's no healthy order block for me. So in this specific area for NQ, I actually did not have a play to the upside. However, as you guys can see here, I actually did play the upside last night. This was during the Tokyo session as well. Went ahead, I did expect it to for price action to have a retracement. I just personally did not take it. Reason why is because I didn't have a setup. So obviously, if I didn't have a setup, I wasn't gonna play just based on my gut. So what I did instead, I waited for kind of a market structure shift and played off the fair value gap entry point. Came down here, went back up. When price action came down for the reversal, this break of structure didn't close below it. And I saw this wick as a nice bull momentum going to the upside, which we did, went ahead, broke structure here on this specific area, high momentum with so much momentum on this side that it left the fair value gap here and I left the fair value gap here. So what I was going to do is I was actually going to enter one mini here and I was going to enter another mini here. And as you guys can see, I only got wicked in once and I was going to put my stop loss for this specific entry. I was going to put my stop loss down here. Reason why is because I was going to put one contract here, my second average here, and if it would have went against me, then I would have took my stop loss here, and I would have been okay with that loss. In this case, I only got in with one contract. My target was, in this case, I was actually just playing around and had a challenge for myself that I really wanted to hit a specific area, and I wanted to hit this break of structure. However, when I was looking at price action, I was gonna go to sleep already, and I saw this nice red candle going to the downside. I took my profit here at this specific area that I did want, and that's pretty much what I did. My entry point was obviously this fair value gap off the 50-minute, and then from there took out my profit. But there is one thing I do want to mention. I was charting out specific areas where I wanted to take a rejection zone, and I noticed that there's a healthy order block in this specific section on the 1 minute, on the 1 hour frequency. So I charted it out, went ahead, did this, grabbed my 0.5 off the GAN box, and I went ahead, grabbed these guys, these longs that I wanted. I did my profit to the 0.5, went ahead, grabbed the short position, and I did an entry point here last night before this actually happened. Just following my simple rules, 1 hour frequency, moving to the 15-minute, find the healthy order block, and then 0.5 GAN box entry. This is exactly the play I had before all of this happened. I did not hold these longs overnight. I took profit down here, but the problem here is that I would have wished I should have probably slept on this. And if I would have slept on this, we could have probably been profitable. The only problem with this is that once you enter here and it goes all the way up here and it comes back down, the trail loss on futures would have fucked me. So that's the only problem. The second problem here is that let's say if I was still asleep, because I was still asleep, this is still pre-market. I was asleep at this time. If it had gone all the way up here, I didn't have a TP and it came back all the way down here on pre-market, that would have still fucked me and I would have lost this trade. Even though it was a winning trade, I would have got it out, right? So this is the reason why when we were up here, I also went ahead and took profit before I went to sleep. But the good thing about this was that we stayed true to our strategy. I did not enter down here because I did not have an entry point, but I did enter based on a different setup, thinking or believing that we were bullish. Came down, saw my entry point based off the fair value gap, continued to the upside. And the reason why I was so confident is because I had this healthy order block up here, and I did expect a retracement back down. But there is one thing I do want to show you guys. Even though we did reject here and we did have a massive move, we never actually hit our target down here. Yet today during New York session, went came back down, continued to the upside, and then grabbed all this buy side liquidity, and then it came all the way down to the downside where we actually wanted to enter some costs. So in the end, took nice move to the upside, took profits very soon. This play actually played out the way we wanted to, and then just everything was perfect lined up. So goal in target of the day was the fact that we entered and we stayed true to ourselves. Strategy that we normally play based off was never there, so we never touched it. We never entered based on a gut. We actually waited for a market structure shift, and then we saw a potential entry here, so we saw a potential target here as well. So I thought that was something important to note out today, that once you have a strategy, stay true to it, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing from now on. I see my strategies, it's been playing out pretty well, so from now on, I just want to say that I'm gonna go ahead and start leveraging in a little bit more. I've been stuck with the micros, but I think it's at the point where my losses, if I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose. If I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win. So that's just something I want to keep in mind.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So you're ready to leverage in. You have your strategy, you have your entry point, you have your take profit, and you have your stop loss all set in stone, which is fantastic. Like you were saying, you saw that retracement close to the London session
Yep.
that wick through and essentially the opening range, and then you saw that it we then ran up into the London session, into the New York session, where then we retraced fairly hard, came back, and ran to the upside, which was fantastic. So, what did we really take when we ran down that first part of the day? Well, we took out those long wicks. Exactly. Take out that sell
Yep.
side liquidity. It wanted that thing gone. We saw that we ran up pre-market, okay, but then market opens, we drop. Okay, we actually took puts down there, took one off, and then we averaged all the way back up.
Yep.
And craziest move, crazy. But I like how you laid it out beforehand. You knew where you wanted price to go, and you waited until price went there before taking the play.
Yep.
That's what this is all about, is waiting for price to enter on your terms and then taking the trade on your terms. Key phrase being your terms, because we've seen so many traders, and I'm guilty of this. I don't know one trader who isn't. You forced a play because you wanted to see something and you thought it was there, and it wasn't. So you took it upon yourself to enter in when you should not have.
Yeah. A lot of issues with that. So especially when it came to scalping, when I first started scalping, um, I kept believing saying, "Oh, it's gonna go up from here," and then I would go in, put a stop loss, set a TP, and the problem here is that it would always come back, hit my stop loss, and then continue going where I really wanted to. So even though I was just playing based on gut at that time, I think it's without having a specific strategy or not having a specific actual target, it's kind of hard for someone to just get in the trade and then set a stop loss in the correct position or where it's supposed to be. And I think that's one of the things that I struggled the most. And that's the reason why I am so fond into this specific strategy that I've been using. And the reason why I'm sticking to it is because I can pretty much see how things are going. And like for example, here I know that there's a 15-minute healthy order block here, but I won't play off the 15-minute because I like playing the longer moves. I'd rather play off the 1 hour and then look for an entry on the 15-minute. And the reason why I say that is because I can see exactly what's moving, what's going on, and I can set a stop loss with so much time ahead. And I could sit and look at my TPs and figure out if I want to go ahead and trim my first one here, trim my second at the break of structure, and then hope for the runner to hit the high of high, And that's the reason why I love this strategy. I can stick to it just because it doesn't puts me in stress where I'm like, I'm seeing things wick in and out everywhere. I'm missing my stop losses. My stop losses are set incorrectly, and I'm just instead of making money, I'm losing money.
Exactly. Exactly. And like we've said before, we have a very, very, very similar entry. I do however enter on gut feeling
Uh-huh.
because but I also it would you call it gut feeling if I'm calling the price action without drawing it, okay, I want to get to this specific level, this, that, and the other. It's more of, okay, we're seeing X, Y, and Z happening, and these events are happening. So while we're on, let's say, a 15-minute, by the way, let's go ahead and just start the 4 hour. I want to say this play, beautiful, beautiful.
Actually, that is nice.
That is gorgeous. Whew, if only I took that.
I seen it earlier.
You know what? But it was good to see. It happened at 10 a.m. or between 10 and 2. Yeah, it happened at 11 a.m. Wonderful. Which, y'all, bearish order block, this retracement, look at that. Look at that. Took out the intermediate highs, came down low. And we are going to take these lows out. I'm fairly certain of that because we only came to consequent encroachment of said order block. So if we want to take this area right here, I want to draw a little gam box. Wow, does not get much better. To get to the true end, yeah,
Oh
went
yeah.
right in and straight back. So
Mm.
I like it. I think it's great. But again, to I want us to, be able to spot this better in the future. But I like what you said about, using the 1 hour and the 15. I personally like to have all my zones drawn down to the 1 hour,
Mhm.
and then and only then I come down to the 15, and then I start looking for additional fair value gaps. So I'm like, okay, what patterns have we seen before we have this propulsion block right here? We had this fair value gap. Okay. We had this fair value gap down here, which on QQQ was the liquidity void.
Yes.
Came straight through it.
Yeah.
And what did we do? Came in between consequent encroachment of this order block. Right there. just about consummate encroachment. But what do we have though? We have where we have liquidity down here. We failed to break lower. So if you looked right here, I actually entered a play overnight here. And we talked about this because I said I should not be in this play
Yeah.
right here. I was actually in here. Very, very, very short scalp. Took it, left it, said, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it served us well. And this was our indication right down here. All this was our indication that, hey, you know what? We have liquidity to the downside. We need to take it. It needs to be taken. But this was my indication, as well as seeing that liquidity void on the 5 minute. So even right down here. Oh my lord. We're talking three, two to three ticks past closing the fair value gap. For all those who say SMC does not work, it does extremely well. But let's go back on the 15 minutes. So, like I said, I like having all the 4 hour zones and the 1 hour zones drawn out. So when we look on the 1 hour and we saw, okay, what happened yesterday? What are we gonna do? Well, we had a zone right here, a fair value gap. We had a zone right here. That was a fair value gap. And we saw, okay, well, here's midnight Eastern. We ran through it. And then we rejected off the 1 hour for value gap down here and came down and then came straight through it. Okay, this is extremely important. This candle right here is very, very, very important. It is a absolute refusal to go lower. Okay. So if we look down here on the 1 hour, this was merely closing the fair value gap. That was right here. That's all this was closing the fair value gap, which because we wicked off of that so aggressively, that was our notion to go long, come down to almost 50%, and then we headed straight up. So we saw this on the 1 hour. We jump down to the 15 minute. We say, okay, look, pre-market, we got some liquidity down here. We gotta take this. We gotta take this out now. My initial target was all the way down, but you know what? I was happy with this. On the 15 minute, we also had all this liquidity from yesterday. Well, this was my target to be taken. This right here, this liquidity up here was just a bonus. So I was very happy to see that. And once you really understand your strategy, you don't ever have to plot it. You don't. Dubs will tell you. You'll see it without plotting it.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of the most incredible feelings. So let me go ahead and take some of these zones off. So, all right. So we're on the 15 minute. We're almost at market open. We see this massive fair value gap here. We also see a lot of liquidity here. We think, okay, something's got to give. Market opens. I'm sorry. This was still pre-market. We have our rundown. creating relatively equal highs. Failure to take out this fair value gap from Thursday. Towards at 2 p.m., we failed to take out the fair value gap. So there's still some room, which means we're coming back for it. We come down, smack all this liquidity, call it a day, sayonara. All the liquidity is gone. Immediate rebalance. I mean immediate. But why does that matter? Because now we're not only refused to go lower, we are now refusing to enter into this 1 hour fair value gap. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, this is a 1 hour fair value gap, but yeah. The previous 1 hour fair value gap, we refused to go back into it. So that was my indication of, oh crap, we're gonna go higher. I still had one put contract. I took puts right up, just right in this candle. I took puts. We hedged one out, and then we kept one and averaged in up to 7 contracts. So by the time we got down here, we had 100% play. But took it here, we rebalanced. This is a crucial part. Look at the bodies. Look at the bodies of this. We're not closing below halfway of the order block. Now, what is the order block? The order block is this section right here. Okay. If we want to know, where does that 50% lie? Right up here. Oops, sorry. Right around here, which just so happens to line up the top of the 1 hour fair value gap. Dubs, this is my favorite one. What is this called?
Consequent encroachment.
Yes, another term for what type of order block are we looking at?
Proportional.
Yes, this is a propulsion block, and
Propulsion.
like a rocket, this thing took off.
Yep.
That is what we wanted to see, and it went. And what I mean, it went. This was with fury, with velocity. But then we created this order block. Now, very interesting. Take a look at the first break of the order block. Which way did we break first?
To the upside.
Right. What do you notice what happened after?
Rejection.
Right.
Right off the 0.5 of that fair value gap.
Booyah.
Couldn't
Now,
grab. Okay.
then what did it do?
Took out all the stop losses up there.
Damn straight it did. It went higher for the fake out and the
Yep.
rejection off that 4 hour fair value gap, and then took everything out. I mean, took everything out. It cleared the buffet. It did it all. It went and it took out this fair value gap on the 15-minute. It took out the 1 hour fair value gaps. It took everything. It took out all the liquidity. But where did we think it was going to stop? Right here. Why did we think that? Well, we had our fair value gap that had to be taken. So it was only right that we continue to do that. Now, our retracement, perfect. It lines up with the breaker candle. Okay. Lines up with the candle that took this thing off the ground. All right. Right here. So we get displacement. Okay. This is what we talk about when we're looking at a displacement to the downside to take a play to the downside. Then we did not retrace at all. We didn't retrace till we broke through. And
Hmm.
until we came the consequent encroachment of the propulsional, or I'm sorry, of the propulsion block. Right up here. This is where we started. But even look at that. Let's just look at the bodies and not the wicks. What do the bodies tell you?
Hmm. Hmm.
This thing ran down. So let's talk about the actual trades that we took. So we talked about we took one here. Okay. I took one to the
Uh-huh.
upside here because, after we said I should not be trading, I still traded. Makes sense, right? No, but this was a great setup because this was a failure to go lower. So I took this trade, short trade, but got in a little bit late. Some call it FOMO, some call it momentum continuation. Uh, Next, the next trade I took was an options down here. I actually took puts, or I sold short here. Why did I sell short here? Because relatively equal highs. I wanted to come down to consequent encroachment of this candle, the BISI, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency.
That makes sense.
So we have 1, 2, 3 trades. All right, we're not done. We're cooking. We're cooking. I lost a trade. And I'm still learning how to use this trade copier. And I thought I knew because I used to use it. I thought I still had all the kinks figured out, and I clearly am not learning because I burnt an account here. I went short. As we see, had a nice little fake out to the it was gonna run down, but this long wick, yeah, I put it above this high, right up here, right up here. It's
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say I'm also not at fault. I leveraged in a little bit, and this wick just came in and stole my lunch, man. That thing stole my lunch. That thing took my lunch money from me.
And says, see ya.
Yeah, because I entered um right down here. I'll get to the exact candles. I entered right here. I got maybe 5 ticks and whoosh, right against me. I'm like, okay, I'm a holder, because I was like, you know what? I expect it to run. That's okay. It's gonna come down. It's not gonna break these highs. Oh shit, it broke those highs. Okay, you know what? It's not gonna break these highs. I'm fucked. And then it just ran.
Broke
And
the
so,
wrong highs.
bro, it broke the highs. It broke my account. My trade copier, if it was a physical piece, would have been in pieces. Uh,
And
but
then it went your way.
I don't want to talk about that. But that's okay. You know what? Why did I take that trade? I didn't have a setup. I did not have a setup, and I should not have taken that. But that's what happens when you take a trade without a setup. So lesson learned. So what did I do? Well, like any normal person would, of course, I got more accounts. I got two accounts and said, I'm gonna trade this. I'm gonna take my play. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna know it. And I took this trade right up here. Get it right here. Yep. And I held this. This thing got held till Kingdom Come.
Drop of doom.
Uh-huh. But right about here, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. Bye-bye. Bye. But I passed both accounts, so I'll take those to funded accounts, which will give me a total of what, 200,000 in funded accounts. So from there, I shut my accounts, closed my trading view, closed everything except for my options trading, which I then ended up taking my profits down here and called it a day. And that was it. But next week, we do expect bullish movement. I would like to see the lows cleared out first down here before we make our move up. I apologize. That was quite lengthy. All right. Dubs, is there any questions you have? Um, I do apologize that we are running a little short on time, but I'm more than happy to do a part two for this trading recap.
No, actually, everything got said, and um, one thing I do want to mention today was during live trading, we actually went ahead and threw our bias, and you went ahead and that was what you were expecting, what was your target, what was your goal, everything, right?
Right.
And I went ahead and I said, what was my goal? And the beauty about this was that we were right on point with our targets, but yet our entries were a bit off, right? So you had your own entries, I had my own entries. And in the end, even though we had two different entries, we still had the same target. And that's something that we keep coming across where your entries are just a bit either sooner or a bit later, and then mine are sooner or later. But in the end, we keep having the same target. And that's something that I really liked. And then we saw Lucas came in here way after we had already explained our bias, what we wanted to, came in here and legit said the exact same thing we wanted.